my vice. Man up from Mars, he tripping, I put that on guard. I got the digits, but I am not calling. Wizard at night, this be that forum. I'm just stack with that. Sunshine after that. Stack with that. Sunshine after that. So yeah, you know, I had a conversation with her, but it's like the signals is always crossed. I mean, like, I say yes, cause she asked me to say yes. And then she's like, I didn't want you to say yes. I wanted you to understood that a yes was required to answer the question. I was like, what?
Hey everybody, happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Welcome to the spot, the Stacked After Hours spot. I am your host, Natalie Cosby, and welcome to the show for grown folks talk. Tonight we are back doing what we did last week, talking to the ladies about their health and how they are moving at this age and what they need to do for 2023. What are they doing? What's working? What are some of the things they want to do? And then just inform us. So it should be a really interesting conversation. We have two health professionals and some beautiful women of all ages on the panel. So y'all get ready, get your cocktails, get those fingertips loose because we want to hear your questions and comments in the chat on tonight's show. And here at SI, we keep it what? Lit and enlightening. So let's get into it. Where is my sunshine? Fairy dust.
Oh, I love that. I love the fairy dust.
You love
Good
the fairy
night,
dust?
everyone.
Hello,
I love it,
hello. So sunshine. Last week we were talking to the brothers about their health and so this time we are talking about what we want to improve on, our, I'm gonna just call it our ailments, but our challenges, but also the things that we've discovered about ourselves that, you know, makes us live a better, hopefully a healthier life. So what are some of the things that you discovered? Let's just kind of what did you discover about yourself over this last year in your whole health journey?
Well, things that I've known before, you know, gotta eat better, drink more water, gotta keep it moving in order for us to feel better. And once you start doing that, I mean, I joined this training program that was working really well for me. Of course, because I had to travel, I had to stop it for a little bit. But that's something that I definitely will continue working on. And I remember before I started working out and the pandemic came, of course, you know, I became a little bit sedentary during the pandemic. And then my knee started to take this thing where if I sat down too long or if I stood up too long, it hurt. And from the time I just kind of started working out, I did lose about 20 pounds, but I need to lose a good, you know, a couple more pounds, of course. But outside of the pounds, the being active and continuously active and consistent has helped me within the past couple of years. And of course, age as well is a factor that is inevitable in all of us.
Yeah.
So once we see that age start piling up, we need to just think about what we're putting in our bodies and how we're moving.
Yeah, I got this email the other day about they're looking for a body positive woman, plus size woman. And I'm always about being on a show talking about being body positive. And you know, in the age of you know, the immersion of the full figured plus size woman, I'm like, I want to have a conversation, especially tonight, about body awareness. Like how you said, you know, because of weight, you start to feel things in your knees. I start to feel things in my heel. Like listening to our bodies about what is really going on, especially at
Our
this.
bodies talk to us. Yes, our
Yeah,
bodies talk
our
to
bodies tell us, and I think as especially as Black women, we ignore it because people say we look good and we don't crack. But I always say, as I always
and,
say, sometimes we are cracking on the inside.
and is it fair to say that because we understand the struggle that we feel that stress and that extra pain and we just kind of work through it and just ignore it, and
Yeah,
we should listen to our bodies more.
we should. And like I said,
Yeah,
I'm all about embracing your body and who you are, whether you are like 120, 150. You got to be where you are presently, but you got to also listen to what your body is telling you. And
absolutely.
sometimes we ignore, we'll be like, oh, girl, that's nothing. I'm strong. And I think we get
Yeah,
this myth like Black women are strong, so da 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 da. And then you realize like we have high blood pressure, we have diabetes, we have,
yeah.
especially during menopause, you start feeling pain. And I'm feeling pain in places I've never felt before.
So,
And I'm
so
like,
I'm glad
yeah,
you actually brought up menopause because I, as you know, have been trying to figure out if I could start that, and I don't know why I'm ready to start.
girl, let me tell you, know what? It's a gift and a curse. And we have an OBGYN on who I'm going to introduce in a minute. But I think the thing is it's just like it's a gift and a curse because you're just like, yeah, I don't have it. But then you got other shit that you ain't never had before cuz your
But
hormones are just crazy.
like right now I'm very like at the end of the month. If I cry, I sit back and I'm like, oh shoot, my period is probably gonna come in the next day or two, and surely enough, it's here. I get emotional. I My period is not doing anything. I'm not like I'm gonna get pregnant or something like that. So it's for me, it's just like why every month I gotta sit out 5 days and go through the pain and the suffering, and it's not doing anything for me. The other thing is I realized recently is that I don't get hot flashes, but I wake up and the bed is wet, like my from head to toe. Like like it's obvious that my body was sweating in the middle of the night somewhere. So I wake up and the pillow is wet, and I'm like, well, what the hell is going on? That's not every night, but there's sometimes it happens. So more than likely, I am probably going through that whole
Yeah.
premenopausal
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things like that we can't stop, but I think with Black women, especially at
Right.
our ages, just things we miss from, our Pap smear to getting our annual,
Breast,
breast exam.
yeah,
Like,
oh, and
I
yes,
and we'll talk to some people who have gone through that and kind of let things slip and then other things happen. So let's go
right.
ahead and introduce our panel because I really want to get into this conversation because we have a lot of we
Yeah,
have some heavy hitters to kind of talk about it. So
absolutely.
Montaigne, bring them in. Look at y'all looking like a grown in Vogue. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So first to our panel, very first time on the show, she loves soca music. She is a doctor of nurse practitioner, Dr. Denyse Addison. Hi, Denise.
Hello, Natalie. Hello,
Welcome, welcome.
Sunshine. Welcome to everyone.
Thank
Very
you.
excited to be part of your podcast.
Thank you. She is my
We're
yoga
excited to have
sister. She is a college football fanatic, and she can cook her ass off. Welcome, while she's sipping her tea,
you.
Miss Yogi Erica Ville. Hey, Erica.
Hi, Natalie. Hi, guys. Happy to be
Hello,
Hello.
hello, hello, hello. Fine. Nobody believes she's her age. 66. She has won the Ageless Beauty Contest, and she is my sister, Miss Janice L. Cosby. Hello, Jan Jan. What's
Hi.
up, boo boo? And then finally, she is my line sister and went to Trinidad Carnival. She is our OBGYN, doctor of the night, Dr. Aisha Redmond. Hi, Aisha.
Hey, everybody.
Hello. And hello to everybody in the chat. Brown Girl Interrupting, Mr. Jones. Thank y'all for shouting out. And Quiet Storm, of course, our producer running things on that end. So, ladies, what we doing about what
Yes.
is Black women
Right.
doing about our health?
Right.
Like, I asked the men this question last week, and I want to know, just for you in general, what has changed with your body over the last 10 to 15 years?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I listening to what you guys were saying in the opener about, various things that you're going through. But, I'm the last 10 years, 10, 15, I'm 50. Oh, Lord. And I can tell you, I can say it happened last week. I'm accepting. But what I can say for the last 10 years, what's changed is that I've been a little bit more anxious, a little bit more episodes of depression than I had when I was in my 20s and 30s. And I'm not depressed, but I'm having more episodes of that. And I kind of think like, well, why is that? Because I've lived longer. I mean, I care about more, I have more responsibilities. You think about your future, you think about your mortality. You think about stressors. You had mentioned, stress, like, with work or stress, just being Black walking around, in the community. And those things kind of, pile up. So I would say for the last, the difference in change is I'm a little bit more aware and a little bit more worried about things, not to dysfunction, but that's just what I've one of the many things that I've noticed over the last 10 to 15 years.
Wow. Thanks, Aisha.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I think we remove that sometimes and just go on and bury it. I think that's really key. Jan.
So I think in the last 15 years, and like you said, I'm 66, I'll be 67 this year in October. And I was always pretty conscious of the way I looked, my body shape. And now I'm still a little conscious of that, but I'm now more concerned about my overall health. I want to look cute and be healthy. So I'm really concentrating on my mental health and being at peace. So I don't stress too much about my body image as I used to 10 or 15 years ago. It's more about, I feel like if I'm healthy, my body's going to follow along with it and I'll be healthy too. So I try to eat better. I'm just more deliberate about it than just being more conscious of, I want to fit in that dress in two weeks. It's more about just being healthy, because I really feel like if I eat well and I'm exercising, and then the other thing, I feel better. I wake up feeling better. So that's what I'm more conscious about. And I did wear my shirt. I don't know if you can see it, but
Black don't crack. It showed
May I
down.
have one of those, please?
We need to order those. We're gonna sell those on the website.
Yeah.
Erica.
Ooh, the last 10, 15 years. I've always been very health conscious, as you know. I think the last few years, it's been more about weight fluctuations for me. Prior to this, I've always been slim. And the last 3 years, I've increased in size. So it's been more so that, and I'll get into the reasons why later in this discussion, but I would say that has changed in the last 10, 15 years. I think I've been more anxious, but in the last 3 years, I've been a little bit more free. a little bit more open, a little bit more, adventurous in things.
Can you just what has attributed to that freedom really quickly?
Um,
You can go ahead and tell us.
I guess basically coming to the realization that time can be short, and do the things that you want to do, like now. I used to think, like, years ago, I think everyone probably has that elderly woman, that grandmother in our family that basically does not give a damn and will say this and that and the other. And I always loved that freedom that they had of expression and just being who they are and living in their skin. And always kind of felt like, okay, well, once I get to that age, that's when I can do that. And then, of course, 2.5 years ago, that all kind of changed. And it was kind of like, do what you want to do, be who you want to be, experience what you want to experience. So that's kind of changed for me the last 10 years.
I like that. Denyse,
Yes.
what has changed for you? What has changed with your body?
Well, Natalie, I feel really good. I still feel really healthy. I think because you all are declaring ages here in this podcast, I'm in that 50th decade. And, I want to believe I'm still in my 30s. So that's part of the problem that I have. My children are reminding me that, Mom, you're getting a little older. But I'm pretty active every day. I'm out 10, 12 hours of the day out of the house. And I love that. And I think what has changed the most for me is my level of confidence in my ability to challenge a lot of issues at work, with the family, because I do feel like I'm pretty ready for anything. I love to travel. I love to meet new people. I love culture. So for that, I want to do and see more. I am in perimenopause stage in my life. So I agree with everything that you all said. I think it's important to pay attention to your health, to meet your annual appointments, but staying connected to the people that you love and being true to yourself and confident when you step into the workforce, into your life, with anyone that you're interacting with, is what has really increased for me over the years.
Okay. Yes, indeed, Rise Girl. Yes, indeed. So, I see a lot of sisters. I know a lot of Black women. I'm talking to Black women because that's what's on the panel, especially now with weight. And I'm not going to say weight is the root of a lot of stuff, but I feel like it contributes to a lot. Just our whole lifestyle as Black people, as Black women, contributes to the certain things that we suffer from, ignore, and so on and so forth. So Aisha and Denyse, and it's even some of the ladies, Janice and Erica, you can speak to this. But what are some of the things that you just see that either friends or family or even you have just ignored? And you constantly see that sisters, Black women are being challenged on, or women in general, but especially us. And is it a resource issue? Is it just a education issue? Is it just like, I'll deal with it later, procrastinate? I'm always curious because I know I'm a procrastinator when it comes to going to the doctor. I don't like doing it, but I know I have to, especially now.
I think it's both. It's a resource and education issue. We as Black women historically have felt that we didn't have the access to appropriate, credible practitioners. It's really nice to see Dr. Redmond. How many Black women get to see Dr. Redmond when they step out of their homes? They may see a white female counterpart or a white male counterpart. For me, I was lucky to have an OBGYN that kept it real with me, and he was African American. But when you step into the walls of the hospital or a doctor's office, you better come prepared with your list of questions. Because when you walk away, you may not have asked that important question about, you know, ovarian cyst or fibroids. It's major in our ethnic community. It's really important to ask those questions, because even for me, I've seen my obstetrician for well over 40 years. And did I really know I had that many fibroids? So when your doctor tells you that you have fibroids or ovarian cysts, you know, dig deep and ask how many, what's going to happen to me? Do I need surgery? What's going on? Why do I have them? That's the kind of questions I think is important for us to know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to piggyback a little bit on what Denyse said, and I'm going to add something to that. So, you know, going to the doctor once a year is not quite enough in my perspective. But, you know, we have this healthcare system that says like, oh, you get one well visit a year. And people say, well, I don't want to have a GYN visit. I don't want to have a pelvic exam. I'm embarrassed. It's uncomfortable. I don't want to talk about this stuff. And even not even GYN stuff, just overall wellness. A lot of women, we talked about weight. So, you know, some women, your whole life, you know, you've had weight struggles. Some women, you may have been thin and then you gain weight, or vice versa. You got pregnant, you couldn't lose the weight. But weight is a big factor that we really shouldn't put our heads in the sand around. Definitely not body shaming anyone, but we have to accept it, and we have to be okay with understanding it's not what the scale says, it's your level of fitness. It's your level of what you're putting, someone mentioned like what you're putting in your body. Because in our community, the number 3 things that are going to kill Black women are heart disease, breast, issues, breast cancer, breast issues, and diabetes, and hypertension, right? And so all 4 are related to our weight, not the breast cancer, maybe some genetics, but it's our weight. And so not to body shame anyone, and not to say no one should be proud of how you look, but it's about accept it, and then say, okay, am I physically moving as much as I need to get my heart rate pumping and be fit? Am I eating a well-rounded diet? You don't have to be keto or vegan, or, you can eat regular food that you grew up with. Is this, how much am I eating? Am I getting my vegetables? Am I, intermittent fasting? Do I have pre-diabetes risk? Maybe I shouldn't drink, venti macchiatos every other day. So there's just a lot of there's a nice little middle ground. You don't have to be extreme, and you don't have to be ashamed if you want to be a lighter weight. It's okay to accept it, but just start thinking of things that you can do to be more physically fit and put nutritious food in your body, and really truly that weight will go down.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Could I ask a quick question, Dr. Redmond, in your practice, and Dr. Addison as well too, in your practice and in your everyday life, when people are visiting you guys, what percentage of the Black women are in this category of overweight? Is it the majority
75%.
of the Black women?
Wow.
I live in Georgia.
75%. Wow.
I live in Georgia. I work for this company called Kaiser Permanente. You don't have it in New York, but it's in Georgia. And so we have 350,000. I take care of 350,000 potential people, and 77% of them are considered to be overweight or obese. And that's just the Southeast. That's where I am.
And those, you said that's Black women in general?
I would say that's all membership, and I'm in Atlanta. So probably 55% of my population is Black, maybe 60% is Black. So yeah.
And I'll add to that, as a former healthcare administrator, we always looked at the numbers, and you always had the white women were more, they weren't obese. And then you had Hispanics, and then Black women were always the highest across the country, were always the highest as far as being obese.
And it's a state of wellness. You want to make sure that you change your habits as you get older as women. Of course, we Black women have it in our hereditary, a genetic makeup, that we have diabetes and heart disease and stroke. And it's important that some of the cultures that we've come from, we have to cut back on the carbs and increase the colored foods, the carrots and the spinach. You see, when you look at the food chain, you have to look at having more colorful foods on your plate. When you look at a healthy plate now, they recommend that you have half your plate be filled with vegetables during the evening hours, and have fruit in the morning. And we have to also keep moving, because even though I might be a certain weight, I may climb the stairs and be out of breath, and I might think I have good size. I'm not too heavy. My BMI is not past 28, but still I may climb a set of stairs and be out of breath because my cardiac reserve is just not there. So that's why we emphasize movement way past your elder years. It's very important. It's becoming more apparent to me as well.
Yeah. Have y'all ever had the results where you ignored something and it became something? Erica, you're
Yes.
laughing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Erica, here.
Yeah. Well, you know the story, Natalie, and Alethea, I believe you know it as well, Miss Sunshine. I had that. I'm 53. I just turned 53 last week, and about 13 years ago, I found a lump in my breast. Went to my doctor. They did a biopsy. It came back fine. Okay. From that time, I would get, lumps in my breast, and then they would leave and they would turn out to be fine, and it was no big deal. I was always, like I said, always active, always healthy. I was vegan for like 10 years. I exercised, I ran miles, so on and so forth. Never had any kind of health issues. My family, we have no diabetes in my family, no high blood pressure in my family, very healthy, I guess genetics in that sense. So I always felt pretty secure in my health, because I made a priority for myself. A few years ago, about 3 years ago, I found a lump in my breast. Again, felt like it was no big deal. It's going to go away in a few months, just like it always has. After several months, I'm getting ready to go to the gym, and I find lumps underneath both my armpits. And I'm like, okay, am I allergic to my deodorant? Let me give it a couple of days, so on and so forth. And was talking to Natalie on the phone on a Thursday, and COVID had just hit. So COVID it was April 2020. And she was like, I need to see the doctor. And I immediately hung the phone with her, started calling places, got in to see a doctor. They were like, you need to get a mammogram, sonogram. Had that done a couple of weeks later. Right after that, they said, we need to send you to a breast expert. Saw him 2 days later. He did a sonogram, wanted me to come back in an hour to do a biopsy. Did the biopsy. I asked him, hey, this is what you do. What do you think it is? And he said straight up, it looks like it's breast cancer. It looks like it's advanced because you have a lump in your right breast, but you don't have a lump in your left breast, and you have a lump in your lymph nodes in your left armpit. So it looks like it may have traveled. But, let's wait to get the results back. A few days later, they called, and I could hear it in the nurse's voice. I could hear it in the doctor's voice. And he said, "You have breast cancer." He was like, "But the lumps underneath your armpits aren't breast cancer. It's non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So you actually have two different types of cancer."
Wow.
What was kind of hard for me is, immediately it was like going to doctor's appointments and getting this test done and this test done. And you're filling out these forms and it's asking you about your health. Do you smoke? No. Do you drink? No. Do you exercise? Yes. How often do you exercise? Do you drink? So according to the questionnaire, I should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should be fine. And it really didn't hit me that I had cancer until I had to go see the oncologist for the first time. And because it was in the midst of COVID, the only people allowed in the cancer center were those that had cancer or their caregivers. And so I'm sitting there and I'm looking around. I'm just like, wow, all these people have cancer. And then it was like, excuse my language, bitch, you have cancer. And that's when it hit me that I had cancer. One of the things that I will say, because the fact that I did make my health a priority in terms of, working out and what I ate and not smoking and not really drinking and that sort of thing, they were able to, I did the RTOP, like they treated the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma first. And so if you're familiar with chemo drugs, basically RTOP is a very challenging chemo to do because it's actually 4 different chemo drugs that goes into your body. So I did 18 weeks of that and immediately went into chemo for the breast cancer and did 12 weeks of chemo for the breast cancer. But because of the fact that I was healthy, I was able to, do it with very little side effects. Very little side effects. I didn't have the nausea. I didn't have the mouth sores. I didn't have, a lot of the things that you typically associate with chemo. So, I did have the hair loss. So I did have that. I did have weight gain because they did put me on steroids during that time period.
So Erica, I have a question though, because I know you're a yoga teacher, and just to kind of redirect, because I think the other thing is like, I know you were just like, girl, I'm not going, because were you insured at the time?
I was not insured.
Right. So I think that's why people delay even going to the doctor because of a lack of insurance.
Exactly. And there are some states, I live in Georgia as well. I live in Atlanta. But when I was living in New York, what a lot of people don't realize is that Governor Cuomo, when he was governor, he actually put into place a program for women over the age of 40 to be able to get free breast exams and free.
I do remember that.
So, but a lot of people aren't even aware of those programs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to I think it's important because I think that sometimes is the delay in a lot of the economics around taking care of yourself, and just the preventative, and then what happened to Erica for somebody who does.
Yeah.
And Janice, you can even talk to that as a healthcare professional, but go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, on where do you even, somebody is just like, where do you even start finding that information or doing the research or even knowing about all of these resources that are available?
Right. So this is a very good question. So most states have in place some type of like nonprofit organizations or something that's very dedicated to breast cancer screening. So if literally you could type in free breast cancer screening in Iowa, and some nonprofits may pop up, or you can even go to, Susan G. Komen or, free mammograms, and there's millions of dollars in funds not raised, not just for like breast cancer research and cancer research, but for those people in the community who do not have insurance, who are in the age range to get screening. Because if we screen you, I mean that, and the idea is, if we screen you and we catch something as early as possible, then your survival obviously increases significantly. And then if you have any, and this is not just for breast cancer, but for like cervical cancer screening, colon cancer screening, any kind of screening, there's resources if you're not insured, to get those screenings done. And then if for some reason, if you do have a positive cancer diagnosis, the states usually have resources to help you if you have a diagnosis of cancer as well. So you just have to just kind of do a little quick Google search, and they'll find. And you can even ask your doctor. I mean, I don't know. You can call a hospital. The hospitals may know of local places, or so.
Yeah.
Well,
And then,
Erica,
there is those. Sorry.
Go ahead, Sunshine.
Documented individuals who may be scared to call like a health facility and thinking that, oh my God, I'm going to get deported. Denyse, do you have any sort of?
That is true, but there are clinics, and if anyone comes into a hospital emergency room with issues that need to be addressed, it's a law called EMTALA, EMTALA, that you will not be turned away. They are required to assess and treat you. But again, here we talk about access to appropriate health care. So it's really difficult sometimes for the undocumented, but at least that's one thing that you have to realize. That's why a lot of people use the emergency rooms instead of the professional doctor with the copay and all of that. They could just leave, get seen, and leave, and then not have to worry about paying the bill because maybe they can't. So that's why all these laws have come into place. So women who are pregnant can go into a labor and delivery ward and deliver their baby without fear. And women or men can go into the emergency room and get treated. But I want to take a moment, Erica, and tell you you've been an inspiration to anyone who's listening right now, because you shared your story with such eloquence, and you're amazingly courageous. So I just want to say hats off to you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Erica. I agree, Denyse. So let's get into I won't call it the elephant in the room, because Aisha brought it up when you said diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure is contribute to, I'm not going to say what we put in our mouth, but what we have been probably putting in our mouths all our lives. I'm not going to say all of it. Some of it is genetic, but I know my blood pressure shot up when and I'm going to share this, when I hit over 200 pounds, and I'm 5'5" or 5'6". So I was just like, what is going on? I'm always healthy. And I was just like, sometimes you got, not saying push back, and it's not a body shaming. I think this whole thing around body awareness is really key. And I'm not going to say, big is not beautiful, but it's not always healthy. Yeah. And how can we start really having those conversations with our aunties, with our mothers, with our friends, with ourselves?
I mean, it starts from when they're babies as well. I mean, you see the little babies and you like their chunky legs, and you feed them with all these things so that they be chunky, and then they're like, oh, the baby looks too thin, give him some more food. I mean, that's cultural as well too.
But I think, yeah, true. But I think even people just like, girl, I had a baby. I was like, girl, that was 10 years ago.
Yes.
Yes, that is true.
You were smaller.
In denial. You're talking about people in denial.
Right. That's what I'm not even talking about the chunky babies. I'm talking about grown ass women. Girl, you ain't been a baby. That was 35 years ago. Go ahead, Janice.
I just I think it's very difficult to have real, honest, straightforward conversations about Black women in weight.
Yes.
I think it's such a sensitive issue, which just pains me because I want to be healthy, and I want all of my friends and my sisters and my nieces, my aunts, to be healthy. And I think that we as Black women need to have an honest conversation with ourselves. We need to pull away from the table.
Yeah.
We eat too damn much. We eat the wrong things. And we get mad if someone says something to you about it. And it just bothers me because I want everyone to be healthy. I know when I eat too much. And here's the thing. What really disturbs me is that we want to exercise our way into good health. You can lose weight. I do better when I don't exercise and concentrate on my diet. And I don't even I made a promise to myself 2 years ago that I would never use the word diet because I want to eat healthy. I want it to be a lifestyle for me.
Absolutely.
I want to eat in such a way where I'm healthy, but I'm not. I've been on every diet. I'm a professional dieter person. I was years ago. I've done Atkins. I've done Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, keto. I've done every damn diet, and I needed to focus on, okay, Jan, you want to be healthy, you want to be at a good weight, so you have to concentrate on your diet and not just trying to exercise and do aerobics and weightlifting. That doesn't help.
Right.
We have to understand that what we put in our mouths affects everything about us. It affects our mental health. It affects everything about us. And as Black women, we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about. We don't even challenge each other about it. We don't even discuss it with each other.
Well,
we don't
this
discuss
is true.
openly and honestly with each other.
Yep.
And until I think that we need to really focus on that because we're killing ourselves. We are killing ourselves slowly with a fork every day. And we can talk about it. We can say that it starts as children, but look at us now. Look at us. We're morbidly obese. We're obese. And
Roz girl said true.
I just want to have a lifestyle. I do right now intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
I concentrate on that. I think it really, really works. I don't eat as many meals, even if we just eat. I think we eat too many. We eat too much. And so I just think that we need to have that honest conversation.
Because as we get older, our body just stores the fat, and the cortisol levels go off. We can't burn it. And then, one thing we have to do is support one another because we're all going through it in some way, shape, or form. And cultural background plays a little bit, no, not a little bit, a lot into it. So what we have to do is and I see it, because don't forget, we have the Lizzos and we have so many other celebrities out there who are saying, don't body shame us. But at the same time, it's about wellness. It's about mental health. And it's look in the mirror and are you happy with what you see? If you're not happy with what you see, do something about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we also have to share that with our loved ones because, I have some family members that have gone through fluctuations in weight or have had gastric bypass surgery. The surgery is not working. It's all about what's going on here in your head. So when you look in the mirror, you got to love yourself.
Yeah, but also
what you eat. So I know there was a personal trainer at the gym that I signed up for, and I remembered all the ladies were coming and they were working out and they were hurting themselves. And he's like, I don't care how much you guys work out. What you eat is what is 75%.
Correct.
You're gonna lose.
And you know
so
what?
You can work out from here to here.
I work with a lot of orthopedic doctors, women who needed knee replacements and hip replacements. And the one thing, if you go to any of those classes before you have to have those types of surgeries, the doctors want you to lose weight because you're putting pressure on those bones, and they want you to lose weight. And it makes a difference the older you get, and the body was not meant to carry all of that weight.
One of the
Sorry, Dr. Redmond. I just wanted to add that eating is psychological. So that's why when women or men go for these surgeries, when you've had the surgery, you also have to have that mentality to know that you cannot do what you've done before, and you have to pivot and change your habits.
And I have to add this because you're totally right, because a lot of women, they want to have liposuction, and if you have liposuction and you don't change your diet, that's
your money.
going to shift and go someplace else.
It's gonna go right back through.
You may have had a small waist all your life, but you want to suck it out of your thighs. Guess what?
It's not working.
That could shift to your waist, that small waist that you had. So if you don't change your habit, if you don't change that diet, what was the sense of having the liposuction?
Right. One of the strategies that the healthcare industry is trying to do is to target kids and teach them how to eat properly as children, adolescents, because when you kind of go through, puberty, you gotta get a little boobs, you get a little butt, and you're like, oh, she's thick, she's cute, whatever, and you don't really, your food is coming from your parents. One, so if your parents don't know how to feed you correctly or buy the right groceries, that's one thing. The second thing is that, kids, they want junk food. They get soda. They want fries. They are picky eaters, right? I don't know, very few teenagers say like, I'll take some quinoa and some broccoli, and they want Chick-fil-A. Like they want Chick-fil-A every day. And so that's when we start gaining that weight, right? We start as in high school, we start kind of picking it up, and you can probably carry it because you still got that metabolism that can still burn it. But one thing you brought up, Denyse, is something called insulin resistance. And that is significantly high in our community. That's why diabetes is so high. Right. And what happens is that there's, in many women, not all women, but in many women, there's a particular weight that your height says is too much. And your insulin is a hormone. It goes around and knocks on all the doors in the body and says, hey, open up. I got some glucose for you to use. And your body, when it becomes resistance, is like, I'm not trying to hear you. And so insulin has to work a lot harder. Right. So insulin, the body, when it sees insulin, it's just like, oh, we got a whole lot of insulin around. That means we're well fed. We're well fed. We're going to store everything as fat. Yeah. Right? So once you get to that weight and then you get insulin resistance, you just keep gaining. And you can say like, I'm going to cut back. I'm going to exercise a little bit. And you don't really see any changes. You just keep gaining. And so you have to be aware that insulin resistance exists. Right. Like you can look at your family. If you have a lot of diabetes in your family, you probably going to have insulin resistance. But you have to attack that. And that's when you go kind of talk to your physician. You're like, oh, my routine labs, am I pre-diabetic? So if you're showing you're pre-diabetic, then you have insulin resistance and you really maybe need some additional medicines. But it all starts in adolescence because we never learn how to eat well. So targeting kids and adolescents and teaching them portion size, teaching them how to cook for themselves, teaching them, okay, great. You go to Chick-fil-A, maybe not every time you get the chicken nuggets, the fried chicken nuggets and the fries. Maybe this time you get the grilled chicken nuggets and a side salad and split fries with your friend. And then, not eat at 2:00 in the morning or not drink soda.
And how do you, I guess my question, go ahead, Eric. I know you had a.
No. I agree with the doctor on that, but you brought up the point about these kids, they're eating what their parents are giving them.
Absolutely.
And so kind of going back into like the body shaming, when I was younger, I was always skinny. That was a problem for various people in our community, where it's like, girl, you need to eat. You always trying to
Yes.
and I eat.
Need
I
a
can eat.
sandwich or something. Yeah.
That's that. I can.
Yeah.
And it's just going, because I'm from Mobile, Alabama. I grew up in Mobile, Alabama. So when I go home for Mardi Gras, I see people that I went to high school with, and they're huge.
Yeah.
And they have high blood pressure, they have diabetes, and they make it seem as though this is what just happens to you when you get older.
When you get older, yeah.
And it's like, no, this is not what's supposed to happen to you.
Yeah.
We're doing the same things that our grandparents, I can't even say that our grandparents could, because when I talked to my mother about what she ate growing up, according to her, because my grandparents had a garden, they ate what they cooked in the garden. They would have meat like maybe once a month for the most part. They would have seafood a lot because, we lived on the bay, so they would go fishing. But, once the generation started to come into money, food was symbolic of having something, having steak, having ribs, having all of these things that you don't have to have them every day.
You know what, Erica? I think that's so key. When I come home to my mother's house, there's so much, and Janice can speak to this. She goes to Sam's and goes crazy because the family is coming home. And I think about, Black women, we plan like what we gonna eat. I'm like, girl, it is tomorrow. Can we just like enjoy the moment? What are we gonna eat? What are we cooking? Oh, you want ribs? Oh, you want such and such? It's like it's a psychological, like, it's time for us to celebrate. We'll celebrate with food and just completely overindulge ourselves. Now that doesn't happen all the time, but I think the question is just like, I agree. There are movements with children, but with women our age, how do we start to make that shift? Like, what are some of the things that we can start shifting even now? Like, I'm even going through that. Like, I'm intermittent fasting as well. But
Can I have a good friend, and she called me because she knows I'm kind of into weight loss and being healthy and all that. And she called me and she said, Jan, I've got this event. I know, give me a trick. What do you do? And I told her about intermittent fasting. And her name is Terry, Terry Moon. She's a really good friend of mine in Detroit. And she came to visit me in Florida, and she had lost 20 pounds. I mean, I couldn't believe it. The girl looked great. She said, Jan, it was the easiest thing I ever did. I just lost it just like that. I just lost so much weight. But I just want to bring up one other thing about this weight thing and being healthy that we haven't talked about, because I know we don't have much time now. But I think when I'm 10 pounds, I need to lose 10 pounds right now. I'm preaching to myself, because I've been eating I haven't been eating well since the holidays, and I really need to get it off. And so when I get back, I'm in Louisville right now, and when I get back to Florida, I'm gonna start back. But when I'm healthy and I'm eating well, I feel vivacious. I feel sexy. I feel like my husband feels that I'm sexy. So there's that part of it too. That's the bonus part of this.
Right.
When you are feeling good, you're eating well, you're taking care of yourself. That part is good too. You're more self-confident. And I don't want to leave that part out too.
No, I agree.
I like that feeling, because we have so many body images. I think we try to play them off like it doesn't concern us, but I know it really does. It comes through other ways.
The other thing, Janice,
we don't talk about it.
You can tell by all the body sculpting and and all the things that we're trying to do to enhance our bodies to look the way that whatever is it at the time.
But Natalie, if you think about it, if every woman would remember when when you kind of felt like you've lost a little weight and
Mm-hmm.
you've been eating well. I mean, you're just so confident. You got a little pep in your step. You're walking taller. It's a different energy, when we know that we're really taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And I just want to add, love your curves. Love everything about you. Just think about wellness every day, because we're all different size and shapes, and we're just women. We look in the mirror, there's always something we want to improve. Our hair, our lashes, our shape,
Lashes.
but I said that because it's big. It's big out there.
It
But
is. Lord have mercy. The caterpillars. Let me.
But I just want to say, just work on yourself. It's daily. It's not just like
it's a
you
daily
said
thing.
before.
It is.
It's
It's
not
a
daily.
journey.
It's daily.
It's a daily thing.
I think we live in such the quick fix of looking a certain way is what's getting women to go to DR and get these
Oh my
whatever,
God.
the BBLs, the
Right.
tucks, the whatever, and it's just like, but you're still like and the funny thing is, I can tell when somebody is really healthy based on their skin.
Yes.
Like their
Yes.
skin it breathes just like, oh, they drink water. It's just
Right.
glowy.
Yeah.
Right. And then you start to see like you're right. They walk, they feel differently. I mean, they but absolutely. We didn't even go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Because I see we have just a little bit more time coming up, and I know we had a few questions in the group that a lot of women were asking.
Go ahead.
And so I just wanted to pivot a little bit to those questions, if you don't mind. And so the first question really was mine, but I think we could talk about that after. But one question was, how certain is vaginal dryness after menopause? And is it 100% going to happen?
No.
Okay.
No. But and it can happen before you get to menopause. So one of the things I ask all of my patients is I'm a very big proponent that you should be swinging from the chandeliers at 80. Your sex life should be as rich as you want it to be. And so it can start in your 40s, 30s, or I have women who are 60. They're like, I don't have any issues. So everybody's unique, everybody's different. But if you are having issues, couple things you do. So everybody's kind of familiar with the lubricants, whether they're water-based or silicone, you get over the counter, right? And then there's something called Replens, which is like a vaginal moisturizer. So if you're just walking around and you just feel like you're dry, not specifically with sex, you just feel like you're dry, you can use a little bit of that Replens. You can get that over the counter. But what happens as we get closer to menopause and in menopause is we just don't make as much estrogen. And even though we may not be having hot flashes or night sweats, we may have that vaginal dryness. And so you may need to take a little bit of estrogen cream or a capsule or a ring in the vagina to keep that lubrication. And what happens, not only do you get dry, the tissue is not as elastic. So you may feel like little micro tears at the opening with penetration, or you may wipe and you see blood after you have sex, just a little bit. And it's, can be a little bit alarming. But if sex is not comfortable for you, then you don't want to have sex. And then you say, well, my libido is bad. Oh, my relationship with my significant other is bad. And it's a really easy kind of quick fix, just a little bit of estrogen, and everyone kind of has their personal opinion, what they think about hormone replacement therapy or not, or being holistic or natural, whatever. This isn't the hormone replacement therapy that acts all over, that affects, mood or breast or anything like that. This is just vaginal estrogen. Your vagina needs it. It needs it. And so if you're having dryness, just go ahead. Don't be embarrassed to talk to your gynecologist about it, because they probably have that conversation 5 times a day with their other patients about it. So.
The ring.
And in that same question, they did talk about hormone replacement therapy and wondered if the benefits outweigh the risks.
Right.
So that's just kind of touched on that a little bit.
So for menopausal symptoms, hot flashes, night sweats, sleep, I can fall asleep, but I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm racing. I can't focus. I have like I swear I have adult onset ADD. I mean, you may have, again, libido issues, the vaginal dryness. You may have all of it, one of it. The whole point of treatment is addressing what your symptom is and what you're comfortable with doing. So there's herbal options, lots of, and I probably can write some of the herbal options in the chat that may help with hot flashes, night sweats. And some people are like, I don't want no hormones. I'm just going to do my herbs. Great. Wonderful. But if those herbs don't work and you sitting in your meetings and your hair is pouring down, you're waking, like sometimes you said you woke up in the middle of the night and your bed is wet, you can't sleep night after night after night, your quality of life is really bad. And so you may, need a little hormone replacement therapy just to have a decent baseline of functionality. And you may need it for a year, 5 years, 10 years. And really, truly, the risk is not significant when it comes to breast. It does not significantly increase your overall lifetime risk of breast cancer. Obviously, we always tell people about looking out for blood clots in their legs or arms anytime you take estrogen. So if you have a history of having a blood clot, you can't do it. But it's an individual decision, and it should be a joint decision with you and your provider to talk about what all options are to see if that's something for you. Because there's other things that you can do other than that.
I know some people say it's like soy. Does soy
Yes,
really?
soy products, maca root, ashwagandha, all of those are really good.
So, Doc, can I just add something? So I did, in your question, Sunshine, I did bioidenticals for a brief period of time where you rubbed it on your thigh and all that. My estrogen got too high. It got kind of crazy. So I got off of that, and it just made me crazy. It just wasn't, I don't know what happened, but my doctor suggested, she kind of begged me because I was having night sweat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't think. I would be in meetings and I would just break out in a sweat. It was just so embarrassing. I would just water just pour down. And so I started a very, very, very low dose of Primpro. Very low dose. Yeah. And I'm not on it now, but this was years ago. But I would tell you, after 3 days, that thing changed my whole life.
Yeah.
Wow.
I could sleep. I could think. I felt good. Everything. It just changed everything about my life. Just a very, very low dose of Primpro. I was on it for about 5 years. Changed my life.
I need something.
Yeah.
Get a
we can talk.
I've been talking to people and I just break out in a sweat.
I'm telling you that it'll change your life. Just a very low dose of Primpro. Try it.
And usually, within the family, like the symptoms are kind of the same. So if your sister had it really bad, you may have it really bad.
I'll send an email to somebody at 4 o'clock in the morning. They're like, "Why are you up?" I'm like, "Girl,
I can't think. My mind was going."
Yeah. And then some other people may like some other options. Like there's another good one is an antidepressant. And when Black women, when we hear antidepressant, we're like, I don't want that. Like, you're gonna tell me I'm depressed, even though you probably are a little bit, but still. But there's different. Medically, we use medicines that are for one purpose, have crossover help for something else, and so some of the antidepressants can help with some of those symptoms too. There's another medicine called gabapentin we use for nerve pain, but that also helps with hot flashes and night sweats. So just have a discussion. Don't suffer. Don't suck it up. We don't know how long it's going to last. If some women have it 2 months, and then some women have it 20 years. We just don't know. But have a good life.
And it's important to have forums like this. You see, we're talking about it.
It's important to these type of forums. And the funny thing with me is that in the middle of the day, I don't get hot flashes. It's just when I'm sleeping, and I don't even realize it's happening. It's only when I get up to go to the bathroom and I come and lay back down, I realize that the pillow is wet. I was sweating, obviously. So that's weird. But Do we have one more time?
You have
Time
one
for
more
one more
question and then one for a minute because we're really over time. We're going to go to
Okay.
9:40. We
One
started a
more
little late.
Well,
Yeah.
it's actually on the same line of what we're talking about in terms of hot flashes.
Mhm.
Someone said they had it for more than 5 years, and when will it stop? I mean, does it take forever or?
There's no prescription for that.
Every
There's no
woman is very
Different. I think it's
different.
very different. I had stopped my period at 53, and I had hot flashes for about 4 years after that. Like I said, I'm 66. I don't have hot flashes anymore. I guess I'm too old. I don't know.
Very different.
Erica, do you have anything after your whole?
Well, I'm on
Tamoxifen.
tamoxifen,
Yeah.
so it actually puts me into menopause. But I have not. I mean, other than me not having a cycle anymore, I haven't had any of the hot flashes. I haven't had any of the night sweats.
Oh, that's good.
As far as I know, I don't have any vaginal dryness. But but I was going to ask the doctor, do you think that diet kind of plays a part in that as well? As
No,
helping to-
no, because I can't. I mean, I have a very vast array of women. I have some who are amazingly in clean eating, and I have some who, you know, eat like crap and are overweight, and it doesn't matter. Every woman's unique in what she experiences with menopause, and it's and also the age at which she kind of goes through it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my final question to you guys is if what are some of the things that you would just suggest if somebody came to you and gave you advice? How could they, if they had high blood pressure or diabetes or anything, what would you tell them on your path and how could they improve? What would be some of the things that you would just suggest?
I would say know your numbers. If you pay attention to your numbers will get better. If you know what your blood pressure is and you have a blood pressure cuff and your regimen is, 4 times a week, I'm going to check my blood pressure. And so I'm going to know if it's high. That's going to remind me to take my medicine. If I'm on medicine, it's going to remind me, push away, that cocktail, or not, let me try and just not use as much salt in my food, or let me go for a walk. So knowing your numbers forces behavior changes. So especially your diabetes. I had a patient that came in yesterday saying, I said, how's your diabetes? And she's like, oh, it's much better. I wasn't paying attention to it. My glucose was 450. And then, and when I finally decided that I was checking it, she's a known diabetic, known. And she says, but I started paying attention to it. Now it's 150 after 2 weeks, but after 2 or 3 weeks, I got it under control. So it makes a big difference just to know your number, get a monitor, get a glucometer, get the Freestone, the Freestyle Libre thing, whatever. Just know what it is, because it'll change your behaviors and it'll make it better.
Natalie, I echo and support everything that Dr. Redmond's saying. My spouse had a serious event, and he wasn't overweight or anything like that, but he had some serious issues with his hemoglobin A1C, which tells you you're going into diabetes. And knowing your numbers is critical, and keeping an important social network, keep moving, and keep your mental health in a positive state of mind is extremely important to me. So when it's time to connect with others, your loved ones, your friends, and what we're doing right now, I think that is really critical because it keeps you current as well.
Yeah.
Can I add I agree with what you both said. I would add one other thing, and is to add an accountability partner to your circle. I think that we have a tendency of socializing, being friends with people who are like us. Who you see people, if you walk down the street, it just amazes me. You see families the same size, you see friends the same size, it's just amazing. I think we need someone to challenge us.
Yeah.
I think we make it too easy. I think we need, if we really want to be the best that we can be, and find a person, just like in our job, we find a mentor, find somebody that you want to You want to be healthy like. You want to, I think you can, that will help you too. If you challenge yourself that way, stop being comfortable with being comfortable.
Yeah.
Stop being comfortable with being comfortable. And I think that, again, challenge yourself. I say this often when I get out of line and I've eaten terribly, I always say I'm turning myself in. I got to turn myself into somebody because Jan, you're just messing up. And so, but I can't go to somebody who's just like me. I need to go to someone who can help me and can encourage me and challenge me. So yes. I think we as Black women need to have someone that will hold us accountable and help us to stick to our goals and our plans.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Erica, you have the last word, babe.
No.
Yes. What would you tell someone?
Well, I mean, I totally agree with what the doctor and what Janice has said as well. Definitely, like she said, know your numbers. Definitely, I think the idea of having an accountability partner is great. Yeah, I mean, we do that when we work out. We have someone who we work out with, and the days that we don't want to work out at the gym, we know that we're going to the gym because that person is depending on you to be there. So having an accountability partner, I think that is a wonderful idea. But definitely, if you feel something is wrong, if you feel something is off, go get that checked out. Go get that checked out. I mean, we're very intuitive, and we know when something isn't right, because you're playing with your life. You're playing with your life, and if you haven't had, your breast checked, if you haven't had your pap smear, also get your shingles vaccine. We're all over the age of 50.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely. So yeah. Ditto.
My in vogue of women's health. Y'all better get it, Cindy, Dawn, Sean, whatever their names were. Thank you. Y'all were awesome. Anthea, thank you as well for giving us the questions. Next week, we are talking about mental health. So we are all trying to get ourselves together before you try to go find your partner. So get your life right, y'all. Get your life right.
All right.
We are taking this into the after party. If you have more questions, Jan can't be in the after party, but
I'm going to stay for 10 minutes, about 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'll stay for 10 minutes.
But come into the after party if you have questions for the ladies, and we're going to continue this conversation. I will see you guys next week. Be safe, and we keep it lit and enlightening. Take care, guys. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Join Stacked After Hours, The Spot, where grown men and women gather to have candid, also honest discussions about the state of life, love, and more. The Spot is a hybrid of in-person and weekly virtual gatherings. Join our Facebook group and answer our daily questions. Subscribe to our YouTube for our weekly live talk shows, and join us on Zoom for our talk show after parties for lively conversations with other opinionated, grown, and sexy professionals. Just search, follow, and subscribe to Stack After Hours on Facebook groups and YouTube. Also and follow our brand pages at Be Stacked Wellness on Facebook and IG. So wherever you are, at home or abroad, pull out your laptop, tablet, or smartphone and join in the conversation with the members of Stacked After Hours, The Spot, by Be Stacked Wellness. See you there.
As you know, and if you are new to the Stacked family, we always keep our conversations lit and enlightening.